Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, I'm going to be breaking down my 5 best investments that I've ever had in crypto, talking about why I bought these, what I was looking for before investing, and ultimately explaining to you guys how we can look to make the most money over this cycle. I figured today would be a great opportunity by talking about some of my big winners, some of the mistakes that I made while trying to trade these markets, and how it ended up costing me a lot more profit had I just been willing to buy and hold. This is a very important time because we just started the new bull cycle. We've got 2.5 years of upside potential leading into some very high profit potential leading into 2025. Now is the time where we need to be prepared. We need to understand what is going to give us those 100x returns. And for today's video, I'm going to break down all of the strategies for how I did it for myself and what I'm doing heading into this next cycle to make even more money than before. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, let's jump right into it today. Alrighty guys, in my last video I talked about how you could make millions of dollars in crypto and some of the thoughts around it. Now, mainly all I was talking about was the 4-year cycles, giving you guys the long-term trend of crypto in hopes of having you guys understand why we buy, and when we look to sell and scale out. And once we time the cycles correctly, this is the way that we're able to make a financial fortune inside of the crypto markets. Now, I didn't want to spend too much time talking about Bitcoin. I wanted to spend a lot more time talking about specific altcoins that I made over 100x returns on and how I bought those, when I bought those, why I bought those, and how we can learn going into this next cycle and really what, the best things, the best takeaways that I learned in that last cycle and what I'm using ultimately to make more profit this cycle around. So here we go, guys. Let's jump into a little bit with Bitcoin before we get into these 5 altcoins. Now, right off the bat, guys, we're really just watching the same thing. Now, I talked to you guys about why I believed if we were to sell off from this support up here at about 30K, I believe that we were going to make a reversion back to the mid-range. And right now, we're kind of just in between. I still believe that we're most likely going to end up tapping this before we're over. And so whether we bottom here or whether we get one more lower low, the line in the sand is ultimately going to be dictated around this 30K, or what I should say around $28,500 level. This is the mid-range point, right? And so as it stands, we did just break down of support. Because we broke down, I would assume that this most likely gets at least one more lower low, and then that'll probably be the one where we tack this mid-range in time for us to reverse and start the next leg up. Because I do believe that this will be a reversal and we're going to go back up to these higher resistance levels being 40 and 50K. So that's what I'm watching in the short time frames. Now guys, let's talk about these altcoins. What were my best investments? Why did I buy these? Where did I buy these? And how can we learn from these so that we can ultimately do the same thing this cycle around and make even more money? Now, right off the bat, guys, we're going to be starting here by talking about Phantom, and I'm going to be giving you guys a little bit of insight as to some really key takeaways for going into this next cycle. Takeaway number 1. You got to remember that we have to have a time frame for how we're going to be entering and exiting this position, right? Now, you guys know my entire investment thesis is built around the 4-year cycle. So we technically just started a 4-year cycle at the end of the year 2022. So we should have 3 years of a bull run leading into a cycle top sometime at the end of the year of 2025. So that's my time frame. That's my plan for investing. Right now I'm accumulating because we just started a new cycle. In the 2025, I'm going to be looking to take profits on everything that I'm accumulating now and have been accumulating for the last 6 to 12 months prior. Now guys, another thing to understand, when we're focusing in on a 2 to 3 year trend where we're trying to buy now and then hold 2 to 3 years into the future, the worst way that, or what I should say, the way that you're going to cost yourself the most money is by trying to trade in and out of the market. If you yourself want to follow a 4-year cycle, you have to follow the 4-year cycle and you can't sell anything before. It's simple as that. Because once we allow ourselves the opportunity to start selling and taking profit, the odds of you holding to get the entirety of a 100x move over the whole bull cycle, it's just probably not going to happen. Because here's what happens, guys. Let's assume that we get into this market. And right off the bat, I'll share with you guys where I got into Phantom. So I got into Phantom somewhere over here at kind of this first impulse when we started to break out. I bought the high of this, we pulled back, and then we ended up going for one impulse. And from where I bought it, this thing actually did about 2.5x or so, about 126%. So I almost immediately made over 2x returns just for buying it. But I didn't take profits on this, and then it corrected all the way back down 76% or so. And I was actually holding onto a short-term loss. It wasn't a huge loss, but it's kind of annoying when you go from a 2x gain to a negative 23% loss, right? So this is something I want you guys to understand. If we ourselves are focused on the entirety of the 4-year cycle, we are focused on holding 2 to 3 years and taking profits at the end of the blow-off top. If that's our plan, you got to understand that the market is going to be doing these type of moves all the time. And you're going to have to go through long periods where you hold and nothing ever happens. And the thing is, guys, if we are focused on the 2 to 3 year plan for taking profits 2025, you have to be willing to stomach some of that, because that's the way that the markets are going to move. We've seen every single one of the crypto markets move like this. Ethereum went sideways inside of about a $300 range for 2.5 years approximately before it started breaking out. So if we have a long-term vision in place, you have to understand that holding on to short-term profit, whether that's 50%, whether that's 3x, and then having to see that profit go back down to a slight loss, break even. It could have gone down 80% or something like that from your profit. So there's going to be periods in the market where it's going to go up, it's going to go down, and you're going to have to hold for maybe over a year straight as it continues to do this without anything happening. But the thing to remember, guys, is once Bitcoin breaks all-time highs and goes into price discovery, that is why we are willing to stomach, an 80% loss after we just made 3x, and then we lose all of our profit. We're willing to stomach some of those ups and downs because we know that with select altcoins, once the real bull cycle has started, these things just go absolutely insane. And keep in mind, guys, that these 5 cryptos I'm going to share with you guys today are cryptos that were my best performing assets, but many of these I ended up taking profits, the majority of my profit, way earlier than the cycle top. And then on a lot of these as well, I only put smaller investments into them because I didn't know that these were going to be big projects, right? A lot of these had never had cycles, so I was just kind of going out on a whim. So in some of these investments, I only invested like $500 or maybe $2,000 tops. There really wasn't very big investments done inside of this entire trading plan. Yet, inside of just these handful of investments, 5 specifically that we're going to talk about today, I made more money than my entire long-term portfolio. And so I'm sharing with you guys these because right now we need to be researching. We need to be focusing on what are the new opportunities? What are the new crypto projects that are going to see a lot of adoption? Where are the new narratives inside of the market? Because $500, even $100 into one of these altcoins that I'm going to share with you right now would have been enough to net 6 figures or more, and sometimes even 7 figures depending on the crypto. So you got to understand that I bought this, I made over 2x. I didn't sell anything, and then I watched my 2x turn into, correct, all the way down 76%, but then I watched my 2x turn into a 23% loss. I had to hold through all of that. This was like a solid 6 or 8 months of holding before anything happened, until finally one day it just exploded. And I'll admit, guys, I took a lot of profit here and I took a lot of profit here. And I kept a little moon bag, but had I just held my entire position, stomached this secondary correction here, and kept holding, this would have been 240x returns that I would have made. And off of, $1,000, there's 250 grand right there, just off of one trade. $1,000 trade, that's all it took. I'm telling you guys right now that I didn't hold the entire cycle top. I sold and took profits majority at a 20 and 40x. Great. I'm happy with that, and that's why I don't really beat myself up. But this cycle around, I'm trying to fix some of these mistakes, guys, right? I made most of my profit. I took it at a 20 and 40x, right? That was kind of where I got in, and that's generally where I would take the majority profit on any of the altcoins that I held. I have a hard time holding for a full 100x because it's hard, guys. I can't explain it. The emotional psychology in the game against your emotional psychology when you're trying to hold something that high, it's really, really hard. And that's why I'm telling you guys right now, if you don't have the plan right now to hold and take profits at the end of the year 2025, if you hold any of these altcoins that start to just explode like this, you're going to take your profits too early. And it might keep running hundreds and hundreds of X's without you from where you took profit. And you're going to look back on that and you're going to think, man, I knew that the end of the year 2025 was supposed to be the projected cycle top. I knew if I would have just held that, you know, I could have made more money. And most people just won't do it because I can't tell you guys, it's so hard to hold the entirety of a cycle. It is so hard to do that, especially when you're holding something like this that's outperforming the rest of the market. You know, where a lot of things haven't done anything for a couple months, you're seeing some of these still breaking out, and it's one of the hardest things in the world to hold the entirety of the cycle. Now, that's just Phantom. This was a 240x. I sold most of it at 20 and 40x. Now, the next one is actually Terra Luna, and this is the chart of Terra Luna Classic. Obviously, we all know what happened after it collapsed, but I ended up making a lot of money off of this one. And, you know, I once again sold too early in the same way that I did with Phantom. But in the likes of this crypto, I guess it wasn't a bad thing that I sold too early because it completely collapsed, right? Now, here's the interesting about this cycle. So I bought Terra Luna over here at 30 cents. Actually, it was 32 cents. So 32 cents right there. I bought Terra Luna at 32 cents. I didn't know anything about it. All I did was follow smart people on Twitter. And I'm telling you guys right now that in the last cycle, I wasn't a big fundamental guy. I didn't follow fundamental analysis. I didn't research into it. I was mainly looking at charts. And that's the reason I bought all of these, was because I like the charts, right? This one was a very obvious one wave impulse. It was the very first impulse of a new cycle, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ABC correction back down, and that was just the first higher high. I saw many altcoins in 2016 and 2017 do this before doing 1000x. That was the only reason I bought this. I didn't know what Terra Luna was. I didn't know what it was doing. I had no idea it was going to turn into what it was. But I'm telling you guys this now because I didn't follow any fundamental analysis, and I still made, you know, at least 5 different 100x altcoins that I bought. And these were all just random buys. I really didn't have I didn't have too much rhyme or reason for why I was buying these. I bought Phantom because I followed some guy on Twitter that was smart that said this is a good investment. So I went and bought it blindly. I didn't know anything about it. With Terra Luna, I bought this because of the chart. I didn't hear anybody talking about it on Twitter at that time. I bought it because I liked the setup, and it ended up running so hard. And in the same way that I sold most of my Phantom at 20 and a 40x, I did the exact same thing with Terra Luna. I sold the majority over here at $20. I sold the majority at 20 and a 40x, and I followed it the same way as Phantom because they both made the same pump, right? This pump and this pump is the same as this pump and this pump. They both did the exact same thing, and they were following each other. So when they both broke out in the same way, I took profits at the same time. Now, I almost got completely out of Phantom. I had a very small amount of Phantom at the bottom of this move, and I had a lot more Terra Luna at the bottom of this move because I ended up making more money off Terra when it first ran. I can't tell you guys exactly the amount of dollar value I had at the bottom, but I can tell you guys that right before Terra Luna collapsed up here, I had another $100,000 worth of a position. So I had already made a few $100,000 on the run up. I took almost all my profit here, at least 95% of the entire position I sold, and it would have been more than that realistically. And then it went all the way back up for another run, and whatever the heck I had down in here turned into another 6 figures here. I never took profit. I lost all of that. Technically, I have the new hard forked version of Terra Luna, but I never took any profit on the final 6 figures I had, so I ended up losing all of that. Technically, I mean, Terra Luna today isn't worth anything, so I haven't even checked. I don't know what it's worth. But this was another one of those examples. Now, once again, guys, you're never going to know truly when to sell besides the 4-year cycles. To me, that's the only way that we really have an idea. And it's not always a guarantee that we're going to have a true 4-year cycle. We have up to this point. You know, we can map the last 10 years of Bitcoin and see that we followed very consistently to the 4-year cycle, but there can always be a variance. We never truly know what's going to happen because markets change, you know, humans change, wars happen, different things like that. So while I still believe we're going to follow a 4-year cycle, it's important to understand that we can't always 100% guarantee that. We have followed it. I'm going to continue to stick to that trend until proven wrong. But the big thing we're pointing out here, guys, is many of these altcoins are going to run harder than you expect. And the only way that you are going to capture the majority of that move is if you understand the 4-year cycles. Now this was Terra Luna, another one of those solid investments, another one of them that I didn't end up holding the entirety of the way. I'm not really so shaken up about that because I probably would have lost all my profit had I tried to hold. And so that's the big thing we need to remember here. If we're following the 4-year cycle, we're looking at a cycle top at the end of the year 2025. And so anything that we're doing now it's all right here. Where we're at in the grand scheme of things, we're still inside of this right here. We'll probably be here until 2024, mid-2024, as the whole market's sorting itself up. It's a lot of slow, steady, and just the very beginning stages of a new uptrend before we get to anything like this. And so while we're here, if we understand the 4-year cycle, if we understand that our time frames for taking profits is 2025, it allows us the opportunity for holding. We can hold through 2024. Even if we start to see this type of stuff happen, we can hold through it because we understand that we're most likely going to keep going higher every cycle. And I can share with you guys a couple examples. This was just the best returning altcoins of our last cycle, right? And so the way that this worked, I'll go to a log scale right here. So the way that this actually worked, we go through this entire period of like a year and a half where we're just kind of going sideways, not really doing anything. And then we make our first breakout past all-time highs. That's this move here. And this is our first sell-off into price discovery. What I have seen is the best altcoins, once broken the all-time highs, they have a sell-off, and then they go into one more final high after that. The same thing can be said for all of the 2017 altcoins as well. If we come over here and look at what happened in 2017, it was almost the exact same thing, right? We had all of this long sideways accumulation where nothing really happened. We make our first breakout. We go into price discovery. We make this first sell-off. And then we had one more final high after. The only difference here was Terra Luna, maybe made a little bit less volatile of an extended 5-wave, but it's still the same thing. And this is the same rule that I see many of altcoins playing out. And so the reason I'm sharing with you guys this stuff is because I took profits too early in the last cycle and I still outperformed almost everybody that I was trading against. This cycle, I'm much more focused on holding the entirety of the trend. If I'm up 50x on something, I'm willing to hold on another 80% pullback from that level because I understand that the best performing altcoins are going to continue to make higher highs the entire cycle. I don't think it's a bad idea to lock up some profits. And you don't have to go madman and hold the entirety of the trend. A lot of you guys can take profits earlier, just like I did in the last cycle. But I'm telling you guys now, for me personally, I'm going to look to hold the entirety of the cycle in ways that I didn't do. Because certain altcoins like Decentraland, I actually did hold the entirety of the cycle. And what's interesting about this one is I only invested $500 and I made over 6 figures on this. It was a huge, huge, huge win for me. I don't remember the exact price, but I do remember it was somewhere close to the very low. I do remember that from where I bought it, I was down 50% when COVID happened. So from this level, it's 60% to the bottom. So I bought relatively close to where this green line is. All I remember was I had to hold over 50% loss on this investment for a long time before anything happened. But once it happened, this one was definitely one of the better performing altcoins out of that cycle. And all I did was hold the entirety of the thing because for me it was like, well, I bought this when I was broke. I didn't even have anybody watching me on YouTube. I didn't even have any money. I worked at a smoke shop at the time. So I didn't have any money, right? I was willing to hold that $500 because for me it was like, well, I was broke. It was no money. That was just $500. Why would I sell? It's almost like a lottery ticket. Like, I'll just let it go and see what it turns into type of thing. And I'm trying to have that same attitude across the board on all of my investments going into this bull cycle. Because the ones that I did hold the entirety of, from where this thing ended up peaking at, this one did over 100x. From that level. It was like 170x or so. So this one was another one of those huge winners. And we don't know what those are going to be until a narrative pops off. Everybody rushes to go buy on to that narrative. And then that's when everything takes off. But, generally a lot of this stuff doesn't move until Bitcoin moves past the all-time highs. And then that's when everything goes crazy. So you guys got to keep in mind that when I bought over here, it was 500 days before we ever started breaking out and making a new all-time high. And there was plenty of times where I was up in a profit or over 50% of a loss. So if you're not willing to hold that with the long-term set in mind and you already have a plan, you're not going to. It's simple as that. You're going to end up moving this into something else because you're bored of it. You're going to end up, getting pissed off that you just made 3x and now it's going back down again. So you sell at a break even or a loss. There's going to be a lot of those mistakes unless you're willing to hold, and it's just as simple as, guys. Now, Cardano was another one on this list, and this was kind of the last one that I'm going to talk about here today. This one was another one of those great returning assets for me. So with Cardano, I bought this at 3.5 cents. So 3.5 cents all the way back up to the top was about 90x. It didn't quite hit 100x like I thought, but it was close enough, right? So out of all of these altcoins, let's just assume that you bought at the level that I bought and that you sold at the top, relatively close to the top. Phantom, you're looking at about, let's just say 200x. The top would have been 240x. $500 plus 200x is 100 grand. So you would have made 6 figures off of a $500 investment into that. Off Terra Luna, had you have bought down in there at the same level that I did and actually sold, let's just say the end of the year, because that's really the only way that we would have even known. So at the end of the year, we were sitting at $102. So that's like 320x. So that's 160 grand off of a $500 investment. So already you're over a 250 grand profit had you have just simply bought 2 of these with $500. That's not counting Decentraland going up 160x. It's not counting Cardano going up another 90x. So I'm telling you guys this because it doesn't take much money. Some of these altcoins, you know, were a little harder to find, like Terra Luna or Phantom. But I mean, Decentraland and Cardano were coins that have been around forever. They were all prior cycle coins, so anybody could have bought those, and a lot of people did. But the big thing here, guys, is I sold many of these too early. Or I didn't sell any of them at all. And I could have made way more profit had I have just simply stuck to the entirety of the 4-year cycle. Buy, sell at the end of the year, 3 years from the bottom. That's the way that we've been playing this, and that's what's been working up to this point. Up to this point, nothing has changed. Even with us bottoming at the exact end of the year of 2022, that was us starting a new 4-year cycle. And that was confirmation when we did that. So I firmly believe we're going to have another one of these cycles. It might take us a long time before we get to that point, right? It might do something like this before we finally break out. And then we might still have to go through all of this before sometime mid-2024 we finally start doing this, right? It'll take a while, and I can guarantee that. I'm not expecting that we're just going to start breaking out and going into new all-time highs this year or even next year for that matter. I think it's going to happen 2025. So I'm fully prepared for at least holding 2 years from here. I'm more or less fully prepared for holding 3 years, realistically, because I already have been. And I've been holding some investments longer than that, 5+ years now. So I have no problem holding, and I've proven myself that. But what I did have a problem on was holding something that was already up 20, 30, 50x and actually holding it the entirety. The people that make the most money are the people that can lock their money away in cold storage, either stake it or sit on it in spot, whatever it is, and they can just sit on it until the end of the bull run. Those are the people that make the most. As long as you have that type of conviction, that type of emotional strength, you will outperform the rest of the market. And I would argue you're still probably going to do that just by buying now and holding until 2025 in general. But this is what I've learned. This is what's made me the most money. And off of these 4 investments that I just shared with you guys, I would have made more off, percent return vastly outperformed the rest of my portfolio. I put about 80+% into like 5 high cap cryptos. You know, I made a lot of money off of that regardless, but had I have been a little bit more, trusting in new investments, new altcoins, put a little bit more money here and there instead of so much focused on the top cryptos, I would have literally made 8-9 figures probably. Probably 8 figures would be a more accurate way of putting it, but still, that's kind of what I'm trying to do this cycle, guys. I'm being very honest with you guys. I'm being very upfront with you guys because I want to see you all do the same thing. I'm telling you guys what's worked for me. I'm telling you guys what I'm planning on doing for this next cycle. Whether you guys follow it or not is beside the point. But this is really what I think is going to work out in a big way. And, that's why I wanted to share with you guys this video, give you guys some value, and help you guys to understand that it's a long-term game, and it's a game of patience, and a game of conviction. If you have those 3 things, in my opinion, we will outperform massively. But I can't tell you guys, once you start to see altcoins go up and you're in a 20x to 40x profit, that's really where the struggle comes in because, to me, it's easier holding on to a loss than it is holding on to profit. I want to take my profit when it starts to go up, specifically anything over like a 5, 10, 20x, right? I have a hard time holding that. And I'm telling you guys this now so that we can all together grow, train, and build so that we can ultimately, hold the entirety of the cycle. Because a lot of you guys are going to hold the whole cycle off of a less of an investment than I have, and I'll probably fumble some of these trades like I always do every cycle. But that person that is willing to hold and continues to hold and then takes profits at the latter end of the cycle, I can almost guarantee that you're going to outperform people with 100 times the portfolio size as you. It takes one smart trade, One profitable trade, one 100x can get you 6 figures, and I know 6 figures can really change a lot of you guys' lives. That's why I do this channel. That's my goal. So I'm going to keep you guys posted. If you found value, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these updates. If you guys want to join the Discord server, download my free ebook, or you want to see which altcoins that I'm personally invested in, what altcoins I think could do 100x over this bull run, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up in my VIP group. Posting a lot of new signals. I think the market's about to break out bullish once again, and we all have a huge opportunity of being able to capitalize on this coming move. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.